This is a weight distribution comparison between the DR10 and the DR10m. This is DR10, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on this thing on these scales. So I'm going to be using this app. This is the SkyRC app. Now, I'm mainly going to be focusing on the front and rear weight distribution. The reason why is the individual wheels. There's going to be a large discrepancy, as you can see. The front ones, that's about a 25% difference between front and right. The only thing that says, if you look at the rear, it's also pretty large, maybe about a 12. It just means that the droop is uneven on that front left and that rear right. So those things probably droop more, or maybe they put more tension, but front and rear. So if you look at this front and rear, the distribution is actually the same. So it's about a 71 rear. 70, there we go, 29 front. Now the interesting thing is this has much larger tires in the back. So this one has the Mickey Thompson, the fat tires, like the drag slash tires, versus the other one has the Hoosiers, which are narrower, a little lighter. So if you put the regular tires, you're probably at a 70% rear, 30% front. Now if I add the battery, the interesting thing is adding battery, because that puts weight near the center toward the front. It changes the weight distribution to where you lose about 1% in the rear. So now it's at a 70. It used to be at a 71. Now it's at a 70. Just adding a battery. If you move the battery to the front, well, of course you're going to move the weight distribution to the front. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that to the front to give you an idea, and it's similar on both cars. So you lose another percentage. See how we're at about 68. So that's something to be mindful of. If you use a shorty pack, well, it's going to be a lighter battery, and you can move that all the way to the rear. So you'll probably keep a little more weight in the back if that's what you want. It all depends on the weight distribution that you want. Now, both of these cars supposedly have pretty good traction on them both. But here's this one with a battery, and if I show you front rear, we're looking at 70. So the DR10 is actually keeps more mass in the rear, probably because it's a rear motor, to be honest. That's the reason why. Versus the other one is a mid motor, so that's why we saw it in the 60s, 68, 69 versus 70%. Now if I move it to the front, I'm just leaving it like that, but it's in the front where it would be. We're at a 68. So this one with the battery in the front is about a 68. Actually, they're both about a 70% with the battery in the rear, now that I think about it. And they're both about 68 with the battery toward the front. So that's quite a change depending on where you position the battery. But the wheelie bar will also make an effect. See how long? So this pushes weight out. The wheelie bar on the DR10m is just over 10 inches, so 25, 26 centimeters. The one on the DR10 is much shorter. So that's going to affect the weight distribution. Now adding a body, now this is one particular body, this is a Mustang body. I just want to show you not necessarily what the weight distribution is with this body, but that the body will affect your weight distribution. Look, we're at a 67 just by adding the body, so there's more weight that now moved to the front. Why? Because most of the body weight is towards the front of the vehicle. If you think about it, because if you measure from one extreme to the other extreme, that would be the wheels on the wheelie bar to the front bumper. The body is closer to the front. So now if I grab the DR10m, I have a battery in there, and then I'll place the body. Adding a body will, again, change the weight distribution, because, again, the extremes. So here we go. So we're at a 66 now in the rear. That's 34 in the front percent. So depending on the body that you use, that's going to affect the weight distribution as well. So the body is important for aerodynamics, but also weight distribution on any one particular vehicle. Now, based on these weights, like I said, you can ignore the left front, right front. Just the left to right, you can ignore them. They were about 50-50 left to right, but on the DR10m, on the regular DR10, it measured more weight on the front left and the rear right, and that's probably because those two wheels are sitting lower, so they're applying more pressure on the weights. But again, front rear, it's still the weight distribution. No matter how many times I weighed it, it was still about the same, 71 without anything. So here without the wheelie bar, notice it's 66%. Now I did leave the battery on, so if I were to remove that battery, it would probably be at a 68%, which means that the wheelie bar on the DR10M will do about a percentage point. Now this is with the body, so about 67. So again, the wheelie bar is going to do about 1 percentage point. That 10.5 inch wheelie bar, which is, I think it's a 26 millimeter. I can't remember. It's in my other video, my first video. So if weight distribution is a major concern, this is something to think about and consider. The type of tires that you use in the rear are going to make a difference. So like I mentioned, these are really wide tires. These are the Mickey Thompsons, really wide ones from a drag slash. They're really nice, extra wide. They're wider toward the inside. Now, Proline does make some extra wide tires. I do have a pair of those. I have the belted ones. I did a comparison long ago about tires. I don't remember if I published the weights though. But these Mickey Thompsons are very, very nice. They grip very, very well. I actually do like these a lot. And like I said, I took these off a drag slash. But look how wide they are. I mean, this thing just looks beautiful. It really does. And they fit perfectly. You just have to move the shocks in a little. But any of those changes is going to affect the weight distribution on these cars, which is something that you have to be mindful about. Now, keep in mind, mid-motor, it's going to work fine with that weight distribution. Rear motor, you're going to have some of that weight, but as soon as you launch, it's going to put more of that weight in the rear, I believe, compared to a mid, even though it is a 3 rear. Here it is without the wheelie bar, 68. So 68, there isn't much difference once you remove the wheelie bars off of them. Now, if I were to put those big tires on the DR10, you would have more mass in the rear. So I wouldn't be surprised it did another percentage point, because that's quite a bit of weight. There's quite a bit of difference here. Here we go. So to give you an idea, the DR10, the way you saw it without a battery, without a wheelie bar, is about 1,579 grams versus with a wheelie bar, it's 1,627.7 grams. So here with the body, see how it dropped down? It's in the 60s. So that's going to make a difference, especially if you have a wing in the back or something. That's going to also change not just the aerodynamics, but the weight distribution. But going back to the weights, the wheelie bar alone is about 50 grams on the DR10. So that's something to keep in mind. Now the DR10M, the way I have it set up, is heavier than the DR10. Some of it is just its natural weight. It is heavier out of the box, but the other thing too is the tires. Those tires are probably a good 40 grams more than those Hoosiers that I have there, just because, well, they're extra wide.
What? Oh, my hair! My car! My rod!